Sam Shamoun loves calling Muslims pagans as if that's some kind of intellectual knockout. But before we even start dismantling his train wreck of arguments, let's take a moment to educate him on what pagan actually means. The word pagan comes from Latin paganus, meaning villager or outsider, and later referred to polytheistic religions, the ones worshipping multiple gods, idols, and statues. So let's play a game. Who actually fits the pagan criteria? Idol worship. Christians pray to statues of Mary, Jesus, and saints. Muslims, no statues, no images. Catholics and Orthodox Christians. They use statues and images as reminders but claim they don't worship them. They pray through Mary and saints, asking them to intercede with God. Example, the Hail Mary prayer in Catholicism. Protestants, such as evangelicals and Baptists, reject prayers to saints and believe prayer should only be directed to God. No statues, no icons, just straight to Jesus. The Bible perspective. In Exodus chapter 20 verses 4 to 5 it says, "You shall not make an image. You shall not bow down to them or worship them." Protestants say this forbids statue veneration, while Catholics argue it's just a tool for worship, not worship itself. Multiple gods. Christianity has three persons in one. Islam, one indivisible God. God becomes a man. Every major pagan religion believed in gods becoming men. Christianity, Jesus is God incarnate. Islam, God is above creation. Oops, looks like modern day Christianity is far closer to paganism than Islam will ever be. But hey Sam, don't let historical facts ruin your favorite insult. There's something called conceptual presence in religious texts. This means that even if a specific term isn't there, the idea can still be fully explained and supported. Let's test this using Christianity itself. The word Trinity isn't in the Bible. No verse says God is three persons in one essence. No verse says the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are co-equal and co-eternal. No verse defines how three distinct persons make up one being. Not only is the word missing, but the core doctrine is also missing, which is why early Christians spent 300 years arguing about it until the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD forced an official doctrine. The word Tawheed isn't in the Quran, but the concept is everywhere. Surah Al-Ikhlas chapter 112 verses 1 to 4. Say He is Allah the One. Surah Al-Baqarah chapter 2 verse 163. And your God is one God, there is no deity except Him. Surah An-Nisa chapter 4 verse 171. Indeed, Allah is but one God, exalted is He above having a son. See the difference? Islam doesn't need an external council or church to define its beliefs. Tawheed is stated in black and white repeatedly throughout the Quran. Meanwhile, the Trinity is something Christians had to construct outside the Bible using vague hints and philosophical gymnastics. So, let's do a reality check. If Sam wants to argue that the absence of the word Tawheed is a problem, then he has just made the Trinity an even bigger problem because it fails on both levels. Tawheed isn't just a word, it's a doctrine fully explained in the Quran. Trinity isn't just a missing word, it's a missing doctrine that had to be invented later. Sam, this is what happens when you try to play cheap word games instead of using real scholarship. Next time, bring an actual argument instead of digging your own theological grave. Now, Sam tries to outsmart the entire Arabic language by arguing that singular pronouns don't prove God is one because sometimes in the Bible singular pronouns refer to groups. Genius, right? Except, no. When Isaiah chapter 44 verse 6 says, I am the first and I am the last, apart from me, there is no God. Is that also referring to a group? Because if so, Sam just proved polytheism in the Old Testament. And if the Trinity is supposedly three distinct persons, why does the Bible say this? Malachi chapter 2 verse 10. Have we not all one Father? Did not one God create us? Did Malachi forget to mention the Son and Holy Spirit, or did he just not know about them? Yikes. Sam then tries to prove that Jesus is Yahweh because Revelation chapter 2 verses 18 to 23 says Jesus will kill sinners, just like Yahweh says in Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 39. Oh boy, where do we even start? Problems with Sam's logic. 1. Jesus never says, I am Yahweh. Instead, he prays to Yahweh, John chapter 17 verse 3, and calls him the only true God. 2. Revelation is apocalyptic literature. Using symbolic prophecy to prove doctrine is like proving Santa Claus is real because of a Christmas poem. 3. Jesus in the Gospels, non-violent. Where in the Gospels does Jesus ever say, I kill people? Oh right, he doesn't. Sam, using Revelation to prove Jesus is Yahweh is like using The Matrix to prove Keanu Reeves is the Messiah. Try again. Finally, Sam thinks he found gold. He discovered that Yahweh is called the Rock in Deuteronomy 32 verse 4, and Paul calls Jesus the Rock in 1 Corinthians 10 verse 4. And somehow this means Jesus is Yahweh. Let's break it down. Metaphor does not equal literal identity. Calling Jesus the Rock does not mean he is Yahweh. Just like calling him the Lamb doesn't mean he's an actual sheep. Paul also calls Peter the Rock. So, is Peter Yahweh too? If Jesus was Yahweh, why didn't he ever say it? Instead, he says, John chapter 20 verse 17, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. Sam, I'm gonna need you to read this verse 5 times before coming back with another failed argument. So, let's recap Sam Shamoun's train wreck of logic. He doesn't know what pagan means. He attacks Tawheed but ignores the missing Trinity. He misuses singular pronouns. He twists Revelation to say Jesus is Yahweh. He misunderstands the rock metaphor. And yet somehow he still thinks he won this debate. At the end of the day, Sam, your arguments aren't just weak. They're biblically, historically, and logically self-destructive. So next time, bring actual scholarship instead of loud, empty rhetoric. Until then, keep embarrassing yourself. We're enjoying the show.